Clint Eastwood and his family, at the premiere of the Mule, a Night of Quiet Pride in a World That Never Stops Shouting. It was December 10th, 2018, Los Angeles. Cold for December. Mid-50s, with that damp ocean breeze that sneaks under your collar. The TCL Chinese Theater on Hollywood Boulevard was lit up like a birthday cake. Red carpets rolled out, spotlights cutting through the smoggy night, cameras clicking like crickets in summer. But the man everyone was waiting for? He didn't arrive in a black SUV with tinted windows. He didn't bring a publicist, a handler, or a stylist. At 88 years old, Clint Eastwood pulled up in a simple sedan, maybe a Lincoln, maybe a Cadillac. Nobody really noticed, and stepped out like he was heading to the post office, not the premiere of his latest film. He wore a navy suit, slightly rumpled, like he'd thrown it on after a long day editing. His white hair was combed back, not perfect, just there, no sunglasses, no swagger, just that familiar squint, scanning the crowd not with suspicion, but mild curiosity, like he was wondering why everyone made such a fuss. And then came the real moment people remember. His family, not just one or two, not just the famous ones, but 7 of his 8 children, from different mothers, different decades, different lives, walking beside him like a quiet army of loyalty. There was Kyle, his oldest son, 50 then, the jazz musician who still calls his dad Pops, and once said, "He taught me to listen more than you speak." Beside him, Allison, 46, actress and director in a sleek black gown, her arm looped gently through her father's, like she was steadying him, not because he needed it, but because she wanted to be close. Then Scott, 32, the movie star in his own right, clean-shaven and grinning, flashing that Eastwood jawline for the cameras, but always glancing back at his dad, checking in like he still wanted approval after all these years. Catherine, 30, stood quietly in a simple dress. No makeup drama, no pose. She'd just finished producing The Mule, her first major credit, and you could see the pride in her eyes, not for the spotlight, but for standing there with the man who taught her that work speaks louder than words. And then the younger ones, Francesca, 22, with her mother, Frances Fisher, ever the Hollywood daughter, but tonight, just a girl beaming beside her dad, and Morgan, just 8 years old, holding Christina Sandera's hand, Clint's longtime partner, elegant and low profile, who's rarely seen at events but showed up for this. Only Kimber Tunis, his daughter with flight attendant Roxanne Tunis, wasn't there? She's lived a fiercely private life, and Clint has always respected that boundary. They didn't arrive separately. They didn't pose for staged family photos. They just walked in together, a loose, loving cluster, like they were heading into a neighborhood diner, not a Hollywood premiere. No one shouted. No one waved. But you could feel it in the air. The photographers leaned in. The crowd hushed for a second. Because this wasn't just a movie star showing up. This was a father surrounded by his legacy, and it was more powerful than any red carpet strut. Inside, the film played, The Mule, based on the true story of a 90-year-old drug mule, a man trying to make amends too late in life. Critics would later call it Eastwood's most personal film in years. And watching it that night, with his children scattered in the dark theater around him, you could see why. Afterward, at the small reception at the Roosevelt Hotel, Clint didn't give a speech, didn't take the mic. He just moved through the room, shaking hands, nodding, sharing quiet words. He hugged Morgan close when she yawned. He laughed at something Scott said. He stood for a long moment with Allison, just looking at her like he was cataloging how much she'd grown. No interviews, no quotes, just presence. And that's the thing about Clint Eastwood. He spent a lifetime playing men of few words on screen. But in real life, his silence speaks volumes. That night wasn't about the mule. It was about showing up, for his work. Yes, but more importantly, for his family. In a town that trades in image, he gave them something rare, a real moment. Unscripted, unfiltered, human. And as he walked out that night, kids trailing behind him like ducklings, the cameras flashing one last time. You got the sense he wasn't thinking about box office numbers or reviews. He was just happy they were all there, together, for once. Not as celebrities, not as Eastwoods, just as family. And in Hollywood, that might be the most legendary thing of all. From Buzz of Legends, where we care less about the spotlight and more about the people who walk through it, hand in hand. If this story reminded you that even legends are human, like, subscribe, and join us as we uncover the quiet truths behind the icons.